like to start with what I know and then work towards what I don't know. I wanted to take the formality of the house and the informality of the woods and kind of make the two combine. I'd like to show you how not to mulch around a tree. It's a step that I see very few landscapers doing. You want to make sure to have variation in your heights. Look at how lovely this is. We just cued the butterfly to come in. How you doing today, folks? Today I'd like to show you a very modest planting in Newtown, Connecticut for a ranch that we just finished doing. And I'd like to do things a little bit different today. I'm not going to focus too much on the big picture, but there's a few details just about this planting that I think you should know if you work in the trade or if you're landscaping your own house. So the first thing we want to do is I'm just going to step aside and show you the before shot here, and then we will flip over to the after. And I want to say that this planting, I could have gone a lot more crazy with what I did. But the folks that moved into this house, when I was talking with them, they had lived in a condominium for quite a while. So this was their first foray into home ownership. And I wanted to keep it simple because I was getting a vibe that my clients aren't huge gardeners, and they may develop into huge gardeners. I might end up titling this video something like landscape design details that are taken for granted, or some version of that, because there really are some things going on here that many people might not notice, but that are extremely important. And the first thing I want to do is just show you this beautiful sidewalk. When I looked at the job, the sidewalk was already here, but this is a nice bluestone sidewalk, and then they had a new landing put in. And notice how the landing actually comes out from the house. If I designed this landscape, I would have recommended a big landing, and that's one of the first details I want to say is if you're designing a sidewalk, go with a big, generous landing so you have a place to stand out there. A lot of people would have just had two steps right next to the house, and there's nowhere to really talk to your guests as they arrive. And also the landing is giving us a nice spot to put some plants. And I guess my homeowners are becoming gardeners because she planted these beautiful containers here. So along the inside of the sidewalk, I know a lot of people might have gone nuts with perennials. It is a nice spot for color, but again, I'm trying to stay low maintenance but nice. So I went with, I've got a couple boxwoods on either end, which are going to stay small, some PJM rhododendrons, and then some leucothoi down there. If we look over the PJMs here, we've got a window that's about 4 feet off the ground. So my PJMs are going to just top out at 4 feet, in 10, 15 years. So this is a good way to keep the view from those windows. But now down here, we've actually got lower windows. So this is Leucothoi axillaris, which is only going to top out at about 2 feet tall. And this Leucothoi is going to stay under the window. So just when you're designing a landscape, keep an eye on your windows and make sure make sure when you're planting that people are going to be able to see through them. What I want to show you is, you see the top here where the gutter is? This is called the drip edge of the house. Now when it rains, water is not going to come inside there. I mean, you might get a little bit, but this is a very dry spot. So when I planted these plants, you see that line? When I planted these plants, I wanted to make sure I got them a little bit outside the drip edge. I didn't go farther because I didn't want them on top of the sidewalk either. But if you've got a house that's covered like this, you want to have a good distance between your plants and the house so the plants don't grow into the house, but you also want to make sure that you're outside the drip edge so the plants get water when it rains. And you'll see this nice straight line of plants. Now normally I'm not into formal looks, I like curves, but because this sidewalk is a straight linear sidewalk, I really couldn't do much to, it wouldn't look right without a straight line of plants. If I wanted to soften it some more, I could certainly have done some beds on the outside, and maybe we will someday. Make sure you're planting outside the drip edge. And if you see a drip edge and you plant under it, just know that the plants are probably going to die because they're not getting water. It's early June, And this is a Blue Hill salvia, Salvia Blue Hill. It's got the blue flowers, May, and then when the flowers finish blooming, you can deadhead them, cut off the spent flowers, and you'll get another flush as well. And then the other detail I want to show you is take a look at this board right here. I believe this is a ledger board, or maybe it was. There used to be a deck that they had removed. So you see how I've got my mulch just under that board? It's not very often, but sometimes I'll see landscapers who will end up putting mulch touching the wood of the house, whether it's the siding or a board like that. And you don't want your mulch to ever touch the side of the house. So I literally have it like just under, and as soon as it, a little rain comes, it'll settle some more. But just when you're planting, make sure that your mulch doesn't touch the siding. And if you take a look at the grade, if we sneak over here, you can kind of see, before that ledger board, the grade's a little bit higher because I want things to slope away from the house. But once we get over by that board, I had to even things out a touch. Again, I really like this landing because it's coming out from the house. Always a good thing. Bigger landing, the better. I can't really think of any circumstances where having a smaller landing would be a good thing. And then moving over here, we have a nice S-curve I like in my gardens. We have a lace leaf Japanese maple. I put some vinca there for ground cover that's going to fill in and have some lavender flowers in the spring. And then we just continued, with our repetition. You want to have some repetition in your plantings. So we had the PJM rhododendrons on the other side, and then we have some PJM rhododendrons on this side as well. And then this here is a blue star juniper. A lot of people use Japanese garden juniper or Wiltoni junipers, the ground cover type junipers. And, for banks, they're good. And, they're good. But I've noticed a lot of times when I plant ground cover junipers, they tend to, after like 5 to 6 years, they get kind of leggy. And they get high maintenance because you have to keep pruning them back to get them out of the driveway or the sidewalk or off the lawn. So a lot of times I'll use this blue star juniper because it's got that nice blue color, and it will spread very slowly, but it forms more of a mounded habit than a spreading habit. And it's just a lot easier to maintain down the road. It doesn't just develop this massive foliage that gets full of weeds. So if you're thinking about a juniper, if you need to cover a hillside, by all means, do your Wiltonis or your Jap garden junipers. But if you just need a little bit of color, think about a blue star. And then the final plant we've got here is a Korean spice Viburnum, Viburnum Cephalon. And the cool thing about the Korean spice is it's going to have really fragrant flowers. So in the spring when this guy blooms, the whole front yard is just going to have this really sweet flower smell. It's really, really a nice plant. And I do have to, finish mulching. I wanted to get this video while I still had good light. So I do have a little bit more mulching to go. Well, folks, hopefully you picked up a tip or two from the video. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down below the video. And thank you very much for watching today, folks. We will see you soon.